We've been talking about Clair Obscur quite a lot lately because they've been on the spotlight for a couple of weeks at this point, with winning pretty much every award that can be won under the sun. They pretty much got it. They pretty much won everything. And joysticks, they won joysticks, they won the Game Awards, pretty much took home the most amount of awards, and broke a record doing that. Indie Awards, they technically won that, but then because of some AI use, Indie Awards decided to strip those awards from Sandfall Interactive and the Clair Obscur Expedition 33 title, which is, in my opinion, is a very much of an overreaction, I think. But yeah, it is what it is. But we can just say that they technically won it. So essentially, they took home pretty much every award that can be won. So it is not far-fetched. People would be expecting their next game to be bigger. I mean, that's kind of a default expectation anyone would have when a studio or a game reaches this caliber of popularity. That's sort of been the default expectation all this time. A very small example would be Team Cherry, the very small indie studio based in Australia over here that made Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight was a huge success, even though Silksong, their second game, has taken a little bit of time to come out. They did come out this year, and it was also a huge success. Team Cherry, they took a little bit more time because they ended up making a bigger, better version of the first game. That's what they did. That's essentially what happens. Like, even with indie studios, even with newer IPs, regardless whether you're an indie studio or a AAA studio, it doesn't really matter. The second game, or especially if it's going to be like a continuation of the IP that you had your breakout with, the expectation is the second game would be bigger and better. Plague Tale had the same thing. Plague Tale Innocence was a pretty good AA game, and it actually was insanely good. Actually, not pretty good, insanely good. I enjoyed the hell out of it, and it won a lot of people's hearts. And then, even though it's a AA game, they went bigger and better with the second game, Plague Tale Requiem. We have seen this happen over and over again with Clair Obscur devs, Sandfall Interactive. It looks like they might not actually go down the same path that previous development studios have gone down, with increase in popularity with their games, which is, in a way, is very refreshing to hear if you really think about it. What they have said, I'm looking at this article posted by Games Radar. Director of Sandfall Interactive implies as much as he responds to a question of whether or not Sandfall Interactive's next game will prove to be a larger scale production than Clair Obscur Expedition 33 was. He says, "No, I think it's good to have limitations when you're creative. It's the best way to be the best version of yourself. Even though the studio could go better, it won't. We could scale up now that we have a lot more money, but I would say it's not tempting for us. Because even the management team and myself, we'd have to be hands-on and doing things for ourselves. That just isn't their thing, apparently. We love making games more than we love managing, so we want to keep doing that. These past 5 years were some of the best of my life, and I want to be happy like that again." I honestly think that they are making the right call here, because if you really look at Clair Obscur, it only took like very small team. Mind you, most of the devs, or the devs that started Sandfall Interactive, were ex-Ubisoft devs that came out of that has actually worked on AAA games, didn't find the satisfaction they were looking for, and didn't get the encouragement, the support necessary to use their creative input, like their creative ideas, put their creative ideas to use. So they broke away from these companies and created their own studio, and now we got Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which became Game of the Year, undoubtedly by players' choice as well. I'm not talking about Game Awards, players' choice, it's different. I'm saying, like, generally, right? It won the hearts of many, and it was a brilliant game. Absolutely brilliant. I don't even play turn-based games, and I enjoyed the hell out of that game. It was really, really good. It's pretty evident that they absolutely doesn't need to work with larger scale or scope in order to do better. They're more than capable of producing bangers with what they've currently got, whatever the resources they currently got, and it's working for them. I agree with the sentiment of not wanting to go larger and staying as a small studio and working in a similar capacity. And I think it's worked for them so far, so why not keep going? I think that's good, because I think at the end of the day, they broke away from large scale situation to enjoy what they're doing, and it shows. Clair Obscur really shows that they really enjoyed making the game. Like, you can really see that if you really look into it. Honestly, I think it's a really good goal. This is a very different direction compared to a lot of the other studios would have taken, because they obviously have a lot more money now. So why not go bigger? Why not hire more people? Why not go larger scale? Why not make a bigger, better game? Not necessarily better, but bigger, right? But I think that will definitely take the enjoyment out of it as it gets bigger. So I think choosing to stay small, choosing to stay hands-on, choosing to stay in touch with the creative input you have, work on your passions rather than projects, that's the best call they can make. And the next game, because of that decision, will undoubtedly be another banger, another awesome game that we can expect from Sandfall. I think that's really good. Some people might not agree with me here, but I think it's for the best. It's for the best. Would they stay a small studio forever? That's hard to say. It's possible that eventually they're going to need more hands on deck. Expectations going to keep rising. They're going to want to grow eventually to some capacity, and little by little, they might actually end up getting bigger without even realizing. Or they would be so good at managing their studio and keep it small and actually turn out good games. As long as they manage whatever the creative process they have put in place so far, keep putting out good games, who cares? Doesn't matter what they do, as long as they're giving up really good games like this. You don't have to care. Really, really interesting and refreshing take coming from a development studio, which we haven't really seen or heard of before. What do you guys think? Do you think that Sandfall should be growing more and making better games using their talents, or they should stay the way they are, remain a small studio and work on passion projects instead of working on bigger, better projects that'll give them more money? Yeah, tell me what you think. Yeah, it's a very interesting take.